Good morning and welcome to our webinar, Reset to Rise, How to Engage with the Women of Color STEM Hybrid Conference. My name is Jennifer Roberts, and I am the Customer Success Manager here at Career Communications Group, the parent company for the conference. We are honored to have all of you join us today to unveil and discuss the latest update to the Women of Color STEM Conference. As you may have heard, this year's conference is going hybrid. While this is without a doubt exciting, I'm sure that many of you are wondering what this update in the conference will bring. We want to encourage you to submit your questions through the question feature in the GoToWebinar chat panel, as we will have a Q&A session at the end. We have assembled our team here today to discuss details and help alleviate any anxiety or uncertainty. So without further ado, I would like to begin our webinar with a message from the President and CEO of the Detroit Metro Convention and Visitors Bureau, Mr. Larry Alexander.
Good morning, women of color. I want you to know that Detroit is thrilled to be hosting women of color, and we've never been more ready for you. We look forward to delivering one of the best conventions in your entire history. And while the world has been so challenged over the last few months, Detroit has been quietly figuring out how to come out on the other side of this turmoil as an even greater destination for meetings and conventions. We've put some seasoned minds together representing all sectors of hospitality to ensure that we are putting the greatest emphasis on what will be most important to our convention attendees. And we believe those are the 3 S's: safety, security, and sanitation. These minds represent not only the team at the DMCVB, but over 800 hospitality partners throughout our community. They will ensure that the appropriate safety and sanitation protocols are in place and being adhered to, and that the Women of Color Convention meeting goes off seamlessly. They've been working on this for months. Now, I'm not only the president and CEO of the Detroit Metro Convention and Visitors Bureau, but I'm also the chairman of the Detroit Regional Convention Facility Authority, the governing body managing the TCF Center. And I can personally assure you that the center will be following and even exceeding all safety and sanitation directives so that our meeting attendees have absolutely no concerns at all about their visit. And we also know that the events of the last few days taking place around our country are also of concern. But Detroit has been doing extremely well during this tough time. The protests have been largely peaceful here. The Detroit Police Department has been working hand in hand with community leaders to ensure that the messages they need communicated to public officials about police brutality are not distracted by violence. Several articles describing incidents in Detroit refer to very little activity outside of peaceful protests. Detroiters are extremely proud of their city. And by the time you come to Detroit, our restaurants and attractions will be open and the city will be vibrant. Detroit is the comeback city, and its residents can't wait to show you everything that we have to offer. We can't thank you enough for choosing Detroit and for helping to drive our economic recovery by hosting your meeting here. It means the world to us. We look forward to hosting and welcoming you here in the D in October. Thank you, women of color.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. The Women of Color STEM Conference has made a solid commitment to the City of Detroit, and we can't wait to return this October. At this time, I would like to introduce Michigan State Representative serving Michigan's 8th District, Representative Sherry Gay Danyongo.
So much. It is indeed a pleasure to join the Women in STEM, Reset to Rise. This is an important event that we welcome to the city of Detroit. Serving as a former Detroit Public Schools science teacher, now serving my third term in the House of Representatives, I know all too well the importance of having women in STEM and providing access and opportunities for us to network together to expand this effort. I know I taught children in 6th through 8th grade, girls who often didn't see themselves in STEM, but when provided an opportunity, certainly hands-on opportunities, their vision increased. Their goals and desires to become astronauts, doctors, physicists, chemists, you name it, their eyes and interest was piqued. So I'm excited to welcome all who will participate, all who will come to the city of Detroit to ensure that women of color continue to rise and we're reset to rise in this very important conference. Thank you so much. I look forward to celebrating women who rise in STEM.
Thank you so much for your kind words and your words as an educator as well. As in the past, the primary site of the 2020 Women of Color STEM Conference will be the TCF Center in Detroit. Today, we have the General Manager of the TCF Center Detroit, Mr. Claude Molinari.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Claude Molinari, and I'm the General Manager of the TCF Center here in Detroit. It is my pleasure to welcome back the Women of Color STEM Conference to Southeast Michigan. The TCF Center is managed by ASM Global, the world's leading manager of convention centers, arenas, and stadiums with over 300 facilities around the planet. Our teams are putting the finishing touches on our Venue Shield program with the goal to create the best practices for keeping facilities clean and certified at the highest standards for the safety and health of our customers and associates. Cleanliness and safety will be our mission, and as the corporate lead for the Convention Center Environmental Hygiene Task Force, I can state to you that we've gone into deep detail on every possible cleaning/disinfecting scenario. We are closely monitoring and working directly with government organizations, including the CDC and the WHO, and as guidelines and public health advancements continue to emerge, we will make changes as necessary in the coming months to adopt best practices to ensure our facility is certified guest safe. You may have heard that we were tasked by the governor of Michigan to become an alternate care facility to assist in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. We built 1,000 hospital beds and admitted a total of 39 patients between April 9th and May 16th. The hospital is in a ready status now, or mothballed, and pending a second wave of the epidemic. But frankly, I anticipate a call any day now from the state providing us with notice to dismantle the operation. Our team is prepared to host events now. Protocols are in place for staff health screening and physical distancing, and PPE gear has been secured. The building is clean and sanitized, and we are excited to welcome back events to the TCF Center, especially the Women of Color STEM Conference. Thank you very much for sticking with us and coming back to Detroit.
Thank you so much, Mr. Molinari. The conference hotel for the upcoming Women of Color STEM Conference will be the Detroit Marriott at the Renaissance. At this time, I would like to introduce the Director of Sales and Marketing, Hotel, Ms. Karen Hedden.
Good morning, everyone. The Detroit Marriott at the Renaissance Center is very excited to welcome the Women of Color STEM Conference to Detroit, and we are already ready to welcome you. The hotel has remained open, and we have been following all CDC recommendations. Health and safety has always been at the heart of Marriott's approach to hospitality. We have long-standing commitments to our guests and associates when it comes to cleanliness. We have ramped up deep cleaning and more frequent cleaning of our public space. We have social distancing signs throughout the hotel. We have plexiglass at the front desk to provide additional level of protection for our hosts and our guests. We have sanitizer stations at the front desk, all elevator banks, and all meeting space. We have changed out all the air filters in our guest rooms, and we will be doing that more frequently. We have provided safety information in all of our guest rooms, as well as disinfectant wipes. We have removed all high impact material from the room to ensure all guest safety, as pens, pads of paper, magazines, books, etc. We replaced all glassware with disposable cups. We are limiting housekeeping services during your stay with more amenities added to the rooms. We have increased our technology with mobile check-in and mobile dining requests. We have less contact but more connection, physical distancing, and we are working on our new and current food and beverage menus to accommodate new grab and go and redesign food and beverage stations. Again, we are already ready for your stay. We are open and we are ready to welcome you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hedden. As a long-standing sponsor of the Women of Color STEM Conference, Consumers Energy has time and time again shown their commitment to the education and celebration of women in STEM. At this time, I would like to introduce the Director of Strategy, Mobilization, and Integration at Consumers Energy, Ms. Brandy Merritt.
Good morning, and thank you so much for that introduction, Jennifer. It is with great pleasure that I am here today to talk about the benefits of sponsoring women of color in STEM. This is a wonderful, wonderful conference, and it actually has provided us with so many benefits as a company, with our business, with our people, and within our culture. At Consumers Energy, we are very excited to grow and mature our culture in every way. We don't call our co-workers employees, we call them co-workers. It is in this spirit that I share how proud we have been to sponsor the Women of Color in STEM conference since it came to the city of Detroit. Our CEO, Patty Poppy, is highly engaged in the success of this conference. She has participated, our senior leadership has been engaged. We have even invited robotics students to attend the Women of Color in STEM conference. As a company, we've hosted networking events, and we're proud to say that we've had numerous award winners. And again, company benefits are numerous. As far as sponsorship, we get to hire outstanding folks who are out here in the workplace, a diverse group of women, seminar panelists and moderators. Our co-workers are happy to say they serve at this conference. Employee retention. With our diverse employees, they see that we are invested in them by investing in the Women of Color in STEM conference. Therefore, they tend to stay. And employee engagement and enthusiasm. In the times we live in today and the experiences that we're all going through with what's going on throughout our nation and the world, it's so important that our co-workers and our colleagues feel engaged, empowered, and enthusiastic. And with that, they have to buy in and be confident in the companies they work for, that we exhibit the same values that they exhibit and feel. Again, it's with great pleasure that I'm here to speak on behalf of Consumers Energy. The Women of Color STEM Conference is an outstanding conference, and we are confident that they will offer the best experience ever as they reset to rise. Thank you.
Thank you, Merritt. And without further ado, I would like to introduce the Women of Color STEM Conference's National Chairperson, Ms. Monica Emerson.
Thank you, Jennifer. First of all, I want to offer a very special thank you to the extraordinary leaders who have stepped forward and voiced their support for the 2020 Women of Color STEM Conference. Larry Alexander, State Representative Gay Dagnato, Claude Molinari, Karen Hayden, and Brandy Merritt. We appreciate you so much. And to the hundreds of participants who have joined the webinar this afternoon, thank you. Your participation reaffirms what we know to be true, and that is the need for the Women of Color STEM Conference is more critical now than ever before. The facts are that in general, women of color pursuing STEM professions continue to be underrepresented and undersupported. Yet the demand for technical talent is growing faster than ever. And this is especially true in Michigan. We know that these are extraordinarily challenging times, not only in Detroit, but all over the nation. But we also know that our young girls, our college students, and emerging technical professionals need us to be there now for them, to inspire them, to connect with them, and to give them hope. So the Women of Color STEM Conference is going forward in spite of the challenges, finding solutions, and delivering a hybrid conference, a conference in which our value proposition will not be diminished, but rather will be enhanced. The same quality events, seminars, and training will be made available in person and digitally. So whether you're able to travel to our great city of Detroit, and we hope that you can, or if conditions prevent that from happening, we will move forward. You see, it's similar to what happened to many of you when you ended up working at home when your workplaces had to shut down, but the work had to continue. You still delivered. Many of my friends tell me that they are in fact working longer hours and are even more productive. You see, the value proposition is not dependent on your physical location from which it's delivered or the medium through which it is received. The value is inherent in the deliverable. And the Women of Color STEM Conference promises to deliver. We will deliver on our stated value proposition in Detroit and virtually. We won't quit because times are tough. Rather, we rise to reset. But we don't do this important work alone. It is made possible by years of committed partnerships with corporate, government, and academic sponsors, many of whom are listed on the slide. You are truly appreciated. Your continued and unwavering support is making a difference in the lives of women of color in STEM. Thank you. And back to you, Jennifer.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Emerson. At this time, we invite all of you to view the world premiere of our 2020 Women of Color STEM Hybrid Conference trailer.
From waves of change come oceans of opportunities. This has always been our Women of Color STEM Conference message and mission. Now more than ever, we are expanding our rich history and track record of hosting live-streamed award shows and interviews, virtual job fairs, learning, and networking experiences to complement our on-site events. We're primed and ready to respond to the challenges from COVID-19 as we reset to rise at our 2020 Women of Color Hybrid STEM Conference on October 8th through the 10th. The world is counting on us. Come ride the waves of change as you explore our limitless oceans of opportunities that can enrich, inspire, connect, and support your continued professional and personal growth that have always been the hallmarks of our women-driven conference. Together, we can help our nation's industries, government, academia, and the military reset, reinvent, and re-energize. Whether you experience our 2020 Women of Color Hybrid STEM Conference in person or in the comfort of your homes or offices, our physical and digital worlds are coming together in a new direction with an innovative conference platform. Take advantage of distance learning with more expansive seminars and continuing education credits. Attend our job fair in person or virtually. Experience the unmatched expertise of women leaders through invaluable training sessions. Be entertained at our awards events and much more. As always, you belong here within our trusted community. Ride the waves of change as we reset to rise. The world is counting on us.
So now that everyone is excited for the conference in October, we're going to start discussing the in-depth details of our hybrid conference. We're going to start from the very beginning. What is a hybrid conference? So hybrid is defined as something that is a combination of two different things. I typically hear the word hybrid applied to vehicles. You know, hybrid vehicle is something that runs on both gas and electricity. So we're going to extend that definition. We're excited to offer, for the first time, a hybrid Women of Color STEM conference in 2020. Both a physical and virtual version of the conference will exist. These versions of the conference will merge at times to offer a truly hybrid experience. Each attendee can choose which version of the conference is right for them. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Many of us already know what the physical conference provides, but what about the virtual Women of Color experience? Next slide, please. We are committed to providing the gold standard in technology, not just providing seminars or a career fair, but a full conference experience that's engaging and fulfilling. For attendees, we're going to be offering networking events, live streamed interactive seminars, recognition events, and career fair interviews. For those organizations opting to participate virtually, we will be offering everything you need to build your pipeline, from branding and sponsorship opportunities to recruitment and our JOBMATCH program. We offer employee recognition events and networking opportunities. We acknowledge that the constraints of the current pandemic have made organizational recruitment, retention, and recognition initiatives difficult to typically pursue. We want to offer the most seamless transition from physical to virtual for those groups with organizational restrictions. We are going to be offering a look and feel to our virtual conference that is as close to the physical conference as possible. Next slide, please. Animations in the virtual world will be modeled on the TCF Center, the site of the physical conference. Next slide, please. For those opting to actually recruit at the virtual career fair, companies will be able to have digital booth options with detailed branding opportunities. Here are just a few examples of the booth types, allowing you to customize your walk experience, your Women of Color experience. So I've spent some time talking about what the virtual version of the hybrid conference will bring. For those of you planning on attending the physical version of the conference, what can you expect? Next slide, please. To answer that question, I would like to invite Mrs. Leslie Rutherford of Rutherford & Associates to speak about the on-site event logistics.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Good morning, everyone. For over 10 years, Rutherford & Associates has been blessed and honored to serve as Career Communications event management firm. The Career Communications Group has been celebrating the Women of Color STEM Conference in Detroit since 2013. We are preparing as we reset to rise in Detroit for the Women of Color 2020 Hybrid Conference. As you heard from Karen Hedden with the Detroit Marriott earlier, the hotel has adopted and is practicing, next slide please, Marriott's worldwide policy. Commitment to clean. This means as soon as you pull up to the entrance and you enter the doors of the Detroit Marriott, you can see and immediately feel the difference. From the less contact check-in process to the social distancing reminders placed well in the public spaces and on elevators, to sleeping in those deeply sanitized guest rooms, you will know without a doubt that the Detroit Marriott is the perfect host hotel for the Women of Color Hybrid Conference. Next slide, please. Let's move to the TCF Center, where the events for the Women of Color Hybrid Conference will be held. You heard earlier, Claude, comments about the TCF Center and all of their partners, how they work tirelessly and stand ready to serve and care with cleanliness. The TCF Center has spent multiple hours days, weeks to develop and enhance its cleanliness protocol. The TCF protocols that you see on the screen highlight just a few of the key policies and processes to present a safe, sanitized, and secure environment for all women of color in-person attendees. That being said, the TCF Center realizes, next slide, that it's not just about the planning, it's also about the execution. RNA, CCG, and its partners have been working with the TCF Center as it relates to its convention center capacities. The revised capacities reflect CDC's accepted social distancing guidelines. Simply put, for our in-person attendees and partners, we will meet and have more dedicated personal space than in the past. The events that are held in the ballroom and the meeting rooms, if they're in rounds, the round will be a 6-foot round that will accommodate 4 people each, and those rounds will be spaced 6 feet apart. For the events that are set theater style, the layout will include seats that are spaced 6 feet apart on all 4 sides. And believe it or not, we're going to have exciting receptions, and they will be designed to allow for each person to have its own 36 square feet of personal space. Once you go to the career fair, as Freeman, who is our partner, has said, the floor layout has been redesigned with social distancing in mind. What does that mean? More well-spaced booths, larger aisles, and more directed one-way traffic. Next slide, please. So far, we've talked about the in-person experience at the hybrid conference. For our virtual attendees, we want you to rest easy and know that a plethora of thought, planning, and financial investment has been made. With the use of technology, the selection of a hybrid technical provider, and great minds, each participant, both the in-person and the virtual attendee, can enjoy, celebrate, learn, and grow even more at this year's conference. To hear more about the conference and its blend with technology, let's begin with Jean Hamilton. Next slide, please. President and CFO of Career Communications Group. Jean.
Thank you, Leslie, and good morning, everyone. Next slide, please. So what does networking look like at a hybrid conference? When we began to research this question, we discovered several interesting and exciting possibilities, limited only by our imaginations. In some spaces, virtual coffee room breaks allow participants to show off their latte art. In others, photo contests allow participants to upload their photos and judge each other's creativity for bragging rights or for a prize. Showcasing your lunch is another popular lunch break option. And then there's human bingo. Who would have thought so many things would happen in the virtual world? Amazingly, the social distancing mandate due to COVID-19 is an opportunity. Yes, an opportunity. An opportunity to reimagine networking activities and to broaden conference participation. Firstly, we gain a bigger space for networking during the in-person experience, as all networking will take place in the ballroom. Next slide, please. This means that a remote audience will be right there on the big screen, sharing the experience of the socially distanced in-person participant, and we will add an event host to connect and engage both audiences. This connectedness is only the beginning. We will offer live and pre-recorded speakers, themed chat rooms with group video capability, one-on-one chats, entertainment, gaming, and much more. Secondly, physical space, travel budgets, and the like will not limit your ability to participate. Employers can now register more employees, and colleges can register more students to experience and to gain from the Women of Color STEM Conference. And last but not least, in all that we do, we will continue to leave room for our valued partners to customize their experiences to meet their needs. The 2020 Women of Color STEM Conference networking events are the Alumni Welcome Reception on Thursday evening, the Friday networking receptions, and the closing reception after the gala on Saturday. We will share details with you in the coming weeks through emails and on our website. We look forward to hosting you at these events, online and in person. Back to you, Jen.
Thank you, Mrs. Hamilton. Our next speaker will be addressing information regarding recruitment and our JOBMATCH LITE service. Here to speak about recruitment at this year's conference is Mr. Cameron Nelson, Account Executive at Career Communications Group.
Good morning, everyone. I am pleased to announce that for this year's Women of Color STEM Conference, Women of Color is implementing a virtual career fair to complement our in-person recruiting events. We are adding this virtual component to accommodate our students and partners who may not be able to attend the conference in person this coming October. Next slide, please. All attendees and selected employers are offered this one-of-a-kind event that will allow STEM students, recruiters, and professionals to connect via our virtual conference interface. With access to our thousands of job seekers from this country's leading colleges and universities, you will have the tools to find the perfect candidates for your organization. The Women of Color Virtual Career Fair will give the same, if not more, access to talented students and professionals in STEM, and will create a long-term, unique branding opportunity with this country's academic institutions. Additionally, we are including resume delivery as an added service for our partners. Based on partnership levels, CCG will deliver a predetermined amount of resumes in order to ensure you walk away with a package of qualified candidates to source internally. Next slide, please. So how does it work? As Jennifer mentioned, the virtual career fair will be a modern and high-quality experience for both our partners and job seekers. The virtual career fair includes the following features for our employers. Employers will be able to create their own booth in the virtual career fair platform, conduct live one-on-one interviews with job seekers, video chat with individuals in groups, live chat with job seekers throughout the duration of the event, upload digital recruiting materials for interested candidates, and engage remotely via dynamic one-on-one and group web chats in each exhibit booth. Next slide, please. So how will students participate? CCG will organize students on campuses at leading educational institutions across the country to register for the career fair and upload their resumes in preparation for the event. Here is how our student job seekers will interface with the platform. Students will register for the event beforehand, and given that the conference is in October, students will be able to connect with hiring representatives at the very beginning of the fall recruitment season, as well as be able to discuss in real time summer and full-time job opportunities with employers. Students will also upload a personal resume and be online to attend throughout the duration of the event. Next slide, please. At this moment, I would like to briefly discuss our CCG JOBMATCH service, which will be a major component to the ROI of our partners when engaging with our job seekers both during the event and throughout the year. CCG JOBMATCH specializes in the recruitment and placement of STEM professionals and interns. JOBMATCH simplifies the search for outstanding multicultural STEM candidates while also allowing our partners to tap into our extensive pipeline of STEM talent throughout the year. CCG offers two programs under the CCG JOBMATCH umbrella, JOBMATCH LITE and JOBMATCH Proper. For the purposes of this webinar, I will be focusing on our JOBMATCH LITE service. Our JOBMATCH LITE service is a value-add service available to existing corporate sponsors at no additional cost. JOBMATCH LITE entitles you to 2 entry-level candidate searches for every 10K spent with us for a Women of Color sponsorship, as well as 2 to 10 resumes certified to meet your specific search criteria. For more information about our JOBMATCH LITE service, please visit ccgjobmatch.com. And at this time, I would like to turn the presentation back over to my colleague, Jennifer Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. One of, if not the most important aspect of our conferences is the extensive series of seminars and training. And this year, the training program has become even more robust. To speak more about the training programs is the Vice President of Recruitment and Professional Development at Career Communications Group, Mr. Eric Price.
Thank you, Jennifer, and good morning, everyone. Can we go to the next slide, please? Let me start off by saying, in a time when many conferences are diminishing choices, Career Communications Group is offering more opportunities for the professional development and training at the upcoming Women of Color STEM Conference. As you know, CCG has been a leader in empowering women while providing diversity solutions that address workplace deficiencies. How do we do this? By giving conference attendees several options for seminars and world-class training. The world is changing fast, and standing still will leave many behind. Well, that's why the Women of Color Conference's training empowers women to reach their potential by providing them with the very best in skill-building content, leadership development, and emerging technologies. The value that conference attendees will gain include out-of-the-box thinking from various points of view, developing strategies for success, and increasing knowledge and skills while cultivating creativity and growing enthusiasm for the workplace. To successfully deliver these sessions, trainings will be delivered in 4 distinct facets. Let me tell you about the first facet. That will be our live, cutting-edge, peer-taught seminars. These are the seminars you're familiar with, which are categorized in our 4 new tracks, which target knowledge transfer to our conference attendees on learning how self-awareness can impact your career, exploring strategies that utilize influence and power, absorbing how to develop strategies that effectively deal with change, and examining in what way diversity and inclusion will influence organizational culture. And don't worry, we will still have our corporate seminars presented by professional trailblazers from our top corporate sponsors, addressing critically needed skills from the career viewpoint. Our second facet is designed to build critical leadership and professional competencies, aiming to increase values, skills, and capacity to lead and thrive in uncertain times. These courses utilize micro-learning strategies that provide an experiential learning journey to build competencies in a short period of time. Live instructor virtual-led learning sessions taught by our world-class facilitators will include experiential learning to develop knowledge, skills, and values, will involve authentic peer collaboration and networking aspects, and will incorporate relevant and diverse case-based learning. At the conference, you'll be able to access 25 hours of competency-based leadership development. Each competency offers 5 hours of leadership development divided into 2.5 segments. This firsthand experience will give participants the opportunity they need to immediately apply learned knowledge, access real-time coaching and feedback, and see immediate results needed to grow your career and influence your organization. Our attendees will learn to lead and more effectively manage global teams. Now let's talk about our third facet, which is our Conversations with Leaders micro-learning sessions. These 6 30-minute virtual micro-learning conversations with leaders, executives, and women of color will explore strategies and tools that can help you excel in the current workplace. These stories from leaders across diverse industries will address relevant topics such as how to protect your job during the pandemic, how to find your authentic self in your company culture, how to build career resilience, building relationships across your organization, what to do if you're not viewed as technical enough, and how to manage in a difficult culture. We're going to now address our 4th and final new track, which is our global health security. And this is the one I'm most excited about. Global health security stands center stage in our world. and it is and should be a top priority. The impact of global health challenges on people of color and women is often left out of the conversation. Everyone needs to join in this journey to educate, prevent, and respond, and to be part of the movement to ensure that diversity, equity, and inclusion is a priority in global health security-related fields. This track is about increasing the capacity to prevent, detect, and respond to health threats. It will educate participants on how to strengthen partnerships, increase awareness, and communicate important health security information. That's why the Women of Color STEM Conference is excited that the Global Health Security track will be led by our spokesperson, U.S. Navy Surgeon General, Vice Admiral Adam Robinson, Jr. Dr. Robinson was appointed director of the VA Maryland Healthcare System on August 23, 2015. And Dr. Robinson has over 30 years of experience as a senior leader in the United States military healthcare system, culminating in his selection as the 36th Surgeon General of the United States Navy. The Surgeon General is the Chief Executive Officer for Navy and Marine Corps healthcare systems. The Women of Color Global Health Security track will align learning goals of corporate and government organizations and provide a window into the emerging global challenges. This track will be available to attendees through the new hybrid learning environment for on-site attendees as well as those in attendance virtually. These seminars follow the Federal Senior Executive Services Competencies Model for workshop deliverables published by the Office of Personnel Management and are available for CEU credits. Back to you, Jen.
Thank you, Mr. Price. And now to speak about what you can expect regarding our award ceremonies is our producer, Ms. Tony Robinson.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good morning, everyone. For over 10 years, I've had the pleasure of being the award show producer for the Women of Color STEM Conference. I'm excited that we're back in Detroit to honor and celebrate the best and brightest group of talented women in STEM at our 2020 Reset to Rise Women of Color STEM Hybrid Conference. Next slide, please. Our stage management team has been working closely with the TCF Center and Technical Production Company to develop our on-site social distance logistics overview. The award show stage has been set up and designed to promote safe space and fluid stage movement via visual social distance parameters. Social distance floor decals and other directional markers will be placed on the ballroom and stage floors, as well as the exits and entrances to the staging areas. Next slide, please. Now, as it relates to the virtual participation for our awardees and honorees, their acceptance remarks will be pre-recorded for playback within the live award shows. The show producer will schedule and coordinate the pre-recording of their remarks prior to the event. As always, in producing the award shows programs, our mission is to honor and celebrate the Women of Color awardees and honorees by giving them and all attendees an amazing celebratory experience for which they so richly deserve. Looking so forward to seeing you guys in Detroit. Back to you, Jennifer.
Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. A key topic now more than ever is the STEM-based education of our youth. To speak about the Women of Color pre-college program, I would like to introduce the CEO of Career Communications Group, Dr. Tyrone Taborn.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I want to thank all of you on this phone call. More than 600 plus people registered to participate in this dialogue. What means so deep to my heart, I'm hearing so much about the digital divide. As you know, we were and have been leaders in advocating broadband for our young people. So this year we're doubling down. We're doing even more because it's more important now than ever. Thousands of Detroit K-12 students have participated in Women of Color over the years. We may be challenged, but we had already made major commitments in Detroit. So we will continue with our professionals in the classroom. I encourage you to download the training piece that is one of the handouts in case you or your employees would like to participate in that. So our goal, again, through the generous support of Fort and GM, our goal is to have professionals go into the classroom before, during, and after. Now, the challenge we may have, how many students may participate? We do not know what the city school system looks like at this point. Therefore, we are initiating a STEM town hall, meaning throughout the entire conference attendees, both virtually and physically, will be discussing the importance of science, technology, engineering, and math. It will be enriching. There will be guides such as becoming an engineer and other resources that teachers will be able to use. Because what we do know is this: during this period, it's been extremely tough for parents to be at home, working online, college students having to take courses online, students who already suffered through the digital summer slide now have even a greater challenge in front of them. And in many households, there may be 1 or 2 computers. And broadband is even more of a challenge. So through your generous support, through our efforts to keep the intention for young people to be able to dream it, because we're going to make sure they see it, Women of Color 2020 will reset to rise. Back to you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Dr. Taborn. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Cameron Nelson back to discuss sponsorship opportunities and registration.
Greetings again, everyone. In this section, I will be covering the partnership, sponsorship, and registration information for the conference. Next slide, please. So what's new? Along with the announcement of the Women of Color Hybrid Conference, CCG has created a brochure to include partnership and sponsorship options for both the physical and digital components of the conference. This information is in the 2020 Women of Color brochure, which is available in the handout section of this webinar menu. So if you wish to download to follow along, please feel free to do so anytime throughout this presentation. Furthermore, Women of Color packages can be found on pages 4 through 6 of the brochure. For this webinar, I'm going to focus on the digital partnerships. The Women of Color digital partnership packages follow the same structure as previous years, starting with bronze and ending to conference co-host. Next slide, please. For your reference, here are pages 6 through 7 where the partnership packages can be found. Please feel free to review these throughout this presentation as well as later afterwards. Next slide, please. Guaranteed package deliverables. For each of the partnership packages, the following deliverables are included unless otherwise noted: full conference registrations with general seating and standard training, listing in the conference guide as a conference partner, conference website recognition, a full-page 4-color advertisement in the Women of Color magazine, option to purchase a virtual career fair booth, and the option to purchase additional CCG JOBMATCH LITE searches. Next slide, please. Now let's move on to the items in the digital partnerships. So what's included in a digital partnership anyway? Digital registrations are included with every package level. With a digital registration, our attendees receive the following: access to all workshops on demand and live during the conference, access to all pre-conference webinars and workshops, access to all handouts, and full access to all digital events. These packages include deliverables for the virtual component of the Women of Color conferences. Inside each package, you will see items such as digital registrations, virtual career fair booths, virtual seminars, options to purchase additional batch of 100 resumes as a part of our resume delivery option, seminar panelist opportunities based on approval and availability, Women of Color Award selection judged, and JOBMATCH LITE candidate searches. Next slide, please. Now let's discuss sponsorship opportunities. Please note, these options can be found on pages 7 through 9 on the Women of Color conference brochure. There are 3 main types of sponsorship opportunities. We have event sponsorships, branded material sponsorships, and seminar sponsorships. Just to give you some examples of event sponsorships, these would include live events such as the Women of Color Alumni Welcome Reception, Women of Color Awards Ceremony and Dinner, and the Women of Color Technology Recognition Lunch. An example of branded material sponsorships would include items such as conference t-shirts, conference bags, conference badges and lanyards, conference bag inserts, and the conference mobile app. An example of seminar sponsorships would include seminars based on our various topics such as professional development, job readiness certification, career lab, and many others. Next slide, please. So how do you register for the conference? Registration for the conference opens June 22nd and will be available at the conference website, womenofcolor.net. When registering for the conference, the option to either attend the physical or virtual conference will be presented, along with other important information regarding the conference. I hope this section has been very helpful for you, and at this point, I'd now like to hand the presentation back over to my colleague, Jennifer Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. At this time, we have a special guest joining us to speak about her experiences and the importance of this conference to her. I would like to introduce the Associate Dean of Academic Programs at North Carolina State University, Wilson College of Textiles, and the 2019 Technologist of the Year, Dr. Pamela McCauley.
Good morning, Jennifer, and good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be with you here today. And I just want to say thank you so much to you, Jennifer, and the whole CCG team for putting together this webinar. I think more than ever, it's important for us to support and celebrate and elevate women of color in the STEM community. So I want to encourage everyone who's listening and those who are listening to share with others about the upcoming Women of Color Conference. This conference truly has impacted my life in remarkable ways and the lives of others. And I want us to make sure that even though we're going to a hybrid model, not only are we still engaged, but we have different and higher levels of engagement. This is going to be an epic event with the hybrid model, and it's going to be safe, but it's also going to, I think, set a new standard in how we acknowledge and celebrate women of color. And I believe that the Women of Color 2020 conference could and should break records for participation, impact, and attendance. This innovative hybrid model, I think, is something that we will all learn to embrace and continue to use this as we go forward, even beyond COVID-19 and social distancing requirements, because the message that this conference puts out in terms of opportunity, access, and need for women of color to study STEM, women of color to excel in STEM as entrepreneurs, educators, leaders in corporations is so powerful. And so again, I think in these difficult and challenging times, we've seen even more reason why we must support events such as a Women of Color in STEM conference. So I look forward to seeing you there virtually or in person. And again, am honored and thrilled to be the Women of Color STEM Technologist of the Year. It's been a remarkable year, and I look forward to serving Career Communications Group in any way I can to make sure that we all continue to have the amazing experiences of the Women of Color STEM Conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. McCauley. So now is the time in the webinar where we're going to be hosting questions. I have gotten a few. We're going to answer those as quickly as possible because I know that we want to be respectful of your time. So if we aren't able to get to your question today, please note we do see all the questions and we'll be able to respond following the webinar. So the first question that we have, I would like to direct this to Ms. Leslie Rutherford. They thanked Mr. Molinari. Thank you for your overview of actions being taken to ensure conference goers remain safe during the event with deep cleaning efforts. Ms. Rutherford, I would ask, will there be a level of transparency if there are any changes in the safety of the facility as we get closer to the conference time? And if so, how will that happen?
Thank you, Jennifer, for that question. Thank you for the person who asked the question. We have been talking and communicating with the city, and so I'm going to allow Sheila Neal with the Detroit CDB to take that information further.
Hi, thank you for the question. So we are monitoring it daily and in close contact with not only the city officials, but the state officials. And if anything changes, we'll make sure that we keep you well in tuned. And also nationally, we're working with other convention centers to make sure how they are responding to things. So once again, everything will be monitored daily, weekly, and we will update everyone to make sure that you know that we're keeping you safe and all concerns are addressed.
That's great. Thank you so much. A big question that we're getting is this deck going to be available after? We actually have the handouts available currently, and we will be sending all the handouts out as well as a recording of this webinar following the event today. And then so everyone will be able to have that if they'd like to share. Another question that we did receive was, will companies deciding to go virtual be able to practice ahead of time? And that answer is absolutely. They will have the space to be able to practice. Another question that we are receiving is, what are the platforms that we're going to be using for the virtual side of the conference? And we are going to be working with our long-standing partner, Premier. So we're going to be tapping into their virtual capabilities as well. Another question that we had was about the JOBMATCH LITE, and the question was, are the resumes selected at random? How do we know that the resumes we receive meet the talent we are looking for? The best part about JOBMATCH LITE is that we reach out to you before we start looking for anyone. So we are actually looking for candidates that fit specific positions you are looking for. So we are an extension of your recruiters. We are looking based on job descriptions. We are combing through all of the students who we actually work with. Our recruitment team manager, Ashley Turner, she interviews every single student that comes through the door, works with them on their resumes, and really fosters a really great relationship with them to make sure that she knows what they're looking for, she knows what the organization is looking for, and that's it. Job match, matching it up to make sure that it is a perfect fit. Let me just take a quick look and see if I've got another couple questions.
Jennifer, if I can just add very quickly, JOBMATCH is really a staffing arm of CCG, so that if you think staffing and staffing companies, think JOBMATCH. Even though it's an added value and a lot of companies don't pay anything extra, we are JOBMATCH is actually staffing. And we have great success stories of placing tons of young people into companies. So you will get a real value out of the JOBMATCH program.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask probably 3 more questions that I'm seeing, and then we'll close out, but we'll make sure that we'll get all the questions answered and provide questions and answers to everyone on the webinar. One of the questions that I do have is there, can someone switch between physical to digital attendance without penalty if conditions dictate this necessary? And Jean, would you be able to take that question for us? Oops, 1 second.
Hey, Jen, I can take that question.
Sure, if you'd like to take it.
Sure. The answer is yes.
Great. All right. And with JOBMATCH, we did get the question: are the resumes only from students? And primarily, they are entry level individuals, so under 5 years of experience, and that's for JOBMATCH LITE. And then we are getting the question: will you be able to register for in person for some events and virtually for other events offered?
And Jennifer, yes, I'd say the virtual event is going to be available to the in-person registrants. So yes, they can do both.
Perfect. All right. So just for time's sake, I want to make sure that we're being very mindful. I'm gonna move on, but make sure you check your email. I'm going to answer all of these questions. But I thank you for all of your questions. And at this time, I would like to welcome back Ms. Monica Emerson.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. Again, being respectful of time, but I do want to take this moment to thank Dr. Pamela McCauley. She is a very dear friend of mine and the Women of Color STEM Conference. We want to thank you for being such an amazing role model as our 2019 Women of Color Technologies of the Year, and for your many, many years of support for the Women of Color STEM Conference. And before closing the seminar, I want to thank all of our guest panelists who shared with us steps that have gone into planning for this new endeavor. And again, thank all of our long-standing and continuous corporate, government, and academic sponsors for their support of the Women of Color STEM Conference. Again, we could not do this without you. And thanks to all of you for participating today. Again, if we were not able to get to all of your questions, the answers will be available on the Women of Color Conference website. That's www.womenofcolor.net. Again, the registrations for the conference open on Monday, June 22nd. All participants who registered for the webinar today will receive an email with links to the handout and the webinar video. If you would like to share the video with your colleagues, friends, and families, it will be posted on Career Communications Group's YouTube page, and we encourage you to do that. Again, thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you at the conference in October.